Here we are. We're back. I'm back. Are you back? I'm in my chair. It's Thursday night, 9 o'clock. Minutes with Milo. Sorry I didn't have a show last week. I was just I was busy. I was wiped out. Couldn't rush up here and get something going. And I'm glad I didn't try because I came up here early tonight. Get everything set up. I'm working around. I come up with an idea. I bring up Gemini, of course. Why? Because they draw good pictures. Maybe. Yeah. But I can't use Grok. So I was trying to use Gemini. And guess what? I go to my Google account. I go down. I click Gemini. It opens a window. You type in what you want. And there's no hyperlink to send it. Couldn't get it. Hey, Roberto. How's it going, man? I'm whining and moaning about the trials and tribulations of trying to get this show going this evening. And as always, it's AI related. So I had to fall back and punt. Had to make my old style little thumbnail, very basic, very kindergartenish, right there with my my audience. Everybody but you, Robert. You're not kindergarten, buddy. You're first grade all the way. So finally got it, and I went to Google search. My daggone mustache is all messed up. Hold on. Let me get this thing squared away. So I did a workaround. I got it. Garthog, there you are. Hey, did y'all just show up because I didn't put out a message to you that there wasn't a show? Or did you see my post I actually put on Facebook? Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Back on Thursday nights. Oh, got a notification from YouTube. You're a smart man. You're definitely going to second grade. Robert, he's not kindergarten. He's not first grade. He's second grade. Garthog, he's putting his head down and ramming right on, just showing up. Either way, appreciate you guys. So I won't bore you with my whiny moany about this AI stuff. So, measurements. I saw this on X that a butt load is a true measurement. Okay. That piqued my interest. So I said, boy, what are some of the other interesting measurements that have come out that we still use? Maybe very little, but still, it's still there. So that's what I went with this evening for my, my topic. And I was struggling so much, I haven't had time to set this up yet. Let me get me tucked off to the side like we normally do. Get that here. I think part of my issue that I had, well, where is it? Is the fact that I've been messing around a lot with these browser settings. I probably ought to mess around a lot with trying to get OBS Studio to show what I want it to show. Okay, so the question was that I finally asked, what were some of the interesting measurements that, we've used in the past and probably still do use. And butt load was 1. Let's see if, since I mentioned that, okay. Nope. So it didn't pick that one up. Now what's it doing? Oh, it's it over there. Really? Ask Gemini. Let's ask Gemini. Now, see, I can't get it to, well, maybe it's in there. Yeah, there it is. All right, so we'll start with a buttload. So a buttload is a slang term for very large amounts of something, but it actually has a fascinating historical origin as a real unit of measure. Okay? The word butt comes from an old French and Italian botte. That's the way I read it, B-O-T-E. You see it like right here, which means barrel or cask. A butt was a large barrel used for storing and transporting liquids, particularly wine and beer. It was a unit of liquid volume in the Old English system of measurements. While the exact volume can vary, a butt was generally considered to be 126 gallons for wine and 108 imperial gallons for ale. Okay, so this is neither here nor there. Why couldn't the stupid thing give me both either imperial gallons or US gallons? Why does it have to make one one and one the other? Okay, so Robert's old school, leagues, cubits, right? We'll get to those. Forgot furlongs. Yeah, furlongs is in there. Furlongs, but a buttload was what got me interested. So I wanted to start with buttload. A butt was also equal to 2 hogsheads or half a ton, T-U-N. So a buttload was literally a full barrel's worth of liquid, a substantial amount indeed. The phrase has evolved over time from its specific technical meaning to the general informal slang we use today to mean a whole lot of something. But it's a great example of how old obsolete units of measure can survive in our language. So I guess who knows why they would think ale and wine couldn't be measured the same. So if you had a big, you had a big barrel, and you had a buttload barrel or a butt barrel, however you want to call it. Baby's got back barrel, something, and it holds a certain amount of liquid, whether that liquid's water, ale, wine, whatever it might be, pond water, who knows, seawater, who cares? It's a certain volume. Why have 2 different, amounts to mean a buttload? 477 liters or 491 liters. I don't know. That's kind of, dumb in my book. Let's see let's drop down one of these little things. What's that? Nope, not interesting. Okay, let's go back up and look at a cubit. A cubit is an ancient unit of length, often defined as the distance from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. Now, the Egyptian royal cubit was standardized to the length of the pharaoh's forearm. So was that from wrist to elbow? To me, that's just your forearm, I'd heard of one, maybe we can look it up later. It was from the king's nose to the tip of his finger. You ever seen, I don't know, maybe we'll look at it, but for some reason in a movie somewhere, somebody was measuring something by like a string or a piece of cloth. Maybe it was a piece of cloth. He would hold it up to his nose and pull out one length, and that would be one whatever. And then he'd do it again, that'd be two whatevers, and three. Maybe that's supposed to be a yard? I don't know. We're going to get to hands. I know you're kind of handsy there, Roberto. Like Noah, measuring horses like Noah. A length of a person's forearm from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. A furlong. Now, anybody that's ever bet on horses has heard of this. An agriculture measurement that literally means a furrow long. It was the length of a furrow that a team of oxen could plow without resting. 1 furlong is equal to 220 yards. So this gets my mind to working. I don't know what age that came out, but they were using oxen, so it's old-timey stuff, not mules or horses, probably not even in America, but they're using oxen. They're using a team. A cubit for Noah, but wouldn't that depend on a person's height? That's a good question. There are certain ratios of the human body that are supposed to be the same whether you're 6 foot tall or 4 foot tall. Is that true? I don't know. You wouldn't think so, right? But a lot of this, not a lot, some of it I think we could find it was like the Pharaoh or the king or the dude that was in charge at the time, that set the measurement. And then that went out as a royal decree or, a law. People that used it then said, well, that Pharaoh dude, he said this, but, I see it as, 220 yards. How did they know that a team of oxen, let's go with two, because, a team is more than one, but I would think if you had 4 oxen in a team, you should be able to plow really long distance before they all 4, got wore out. And what kind of soil are they trying to plow? Is it virgin hard-packed dirt, or has it been plowed before? Good questions. I don't know. If I ever get to go back in time, maybe these are some of the things that I would look at. But there's no way that somebody said, hey, let's make up a measurement. Let's hook up your team of oxen and we'll see how far they go before what? They stop or they get tired? Without resting. Well, would the team just stop immediately and say, this is as far as I go, I got to take a break? And then somebody had to go and say, okay, I'm going to measure the measurement. It's 220 yards. Well, cool. Let's call it a furlong. Or a furrow long, as it was known. Or maybe they just shortened it. An acre. Originally, an acre was the amount of land that could be plowed by a single team of oxen in a day. Well, ain't no wonder this team gets tired all the time. Everybody's using them to plow acres so they can measure it. Come measure my yard and see. Bring your oxen and plow it up, and let's see if it's an acre or half acre. Could they go further? Did they stop? How many furlongs are in an acre? Huh. Let's just see. I'm going to ask it to give me the history on an acre as a land measurement. Let's see what it says. The acre has a rich history rooted in the particularities of medieval agriculture. Okay, oxen, medieval, English, making sense. And its story shows how a unit of measure can evolve from a simple, hands-on concept to precise legal standard. The word acre comes from the Old English word, that's weird. It's one of those funky letters with the A and the E are back to back as one letter, which simply means field. We're going to call it acre because I can't, whatever that means field. Its origin definition is not based on geometric shape, but on a unit of labor, like horsepower. The amount of land that could be plowed in one day by a yoke of oxen. Oh, I guess a yoke has two straps, right? This was a highly practical measure for farmers. It answered the key question, how much land can I reasonably work with my available resources? It also explained why an acre was traditionally long and narrow. Well, yeah. Plowing with a team of oxen was difficult, and turning them around was even harder. Therefore, a farmer would try to plow the longest possible furrow to minimize the number of turns. Meters interesting versus imperial. Yoke is 2. Okay. Garthog comes up with the definitive answer. So that's why a team, I guess, is considered 2, because that was what the yoke would hold. And if you're any farmer worth his weight, you know, you had a yoke with 2 oxen. Where was I? The furlong was so important that it became its own unit of measure, right? We know that. The furlong, which is equal to 660 feet. That didn't tell us that before, did it? The long, narrow shape of the original acre was approximately 1 furlong in length and 1/10 of a furlong in width, about 66 feet. Okay. It all started sounding pretty good up until around this point. So an acre, if I'm reading this correctly, let me scroll up here and see if you fellers can follow it. So an acre back then was 660 feet long and about 66 feet wide. So a furlong was what a team of oxen could plow before resting. And an acre was what a team of oxen could pull in one day. Doesn't seem like they could work a lot in a day. You see what I'm saying? It's 660 feet long. That's how far they supposedly could pull a plow without resting. That was the furlong, 660 feet. Now to get an acre, they're supposed to work a whole day. But they could only get it 66 feet wide. The long, narrow shape of the original acre was approximately 1 furlong in length and 1/10 of a furlong in width. But that just don't sound right. I can't wrap my mind around that. All right, skipping on because my brain ain't working. I don't know. Standardization and codification. That means, you know, everybody started using it and they decided this is exactly how long it was. Oh boy. We see a formula down here that involves rods and feet in the chain. Oh boy. As societies developed, and land ownership became more formal, the imprecise labor-based definition of an acre became a problem. No crap. Really? The amount of land a team of oxen could plow in a day varied greatly depending on the terrain, the condition of the soil, and the strength of the oxen. Thank you very much. I'm not stupid. I'm kindergartenish. To address this, monarchs in England began to standardize the acre. King Edward defined an acre as a strip of land 4 rods wide by 40 rods long. A rod, also known as a perch or pole, was a surveying tool, and its length was set at 16.5 feet. This new definition solidified the acre as a precise area of 4 rods times 16.5 feet for each rod equals 66 feet, 1 chain. 40 rods times 16.5 feet per rod equals 660 feet, 1 furlong. This created a standard acre that was exactly 66 feet by 660 feet, or 43,560 square feet. This is the modern legal definition of an acre, which is used today in the United States and other countries that have inherited the British imperial system. There you go. So I think we use the square footage a lot more, because nobody's going to buy an acre of land that's 660 feet long but only 66 feet wide. I mean, you know, could you imagine trying to put a house on that type of acre? That would be crazy. While many countries have adopted the metric system and use the hectare as their primary unit for land measurement, 1 hectare, not an acre, but a hectare, equals 10,000 square meters, or about 2.74 acres. The acre remains deeply ingrained in the real estate, farming, and legal systems of the United States. Its persistence is a testament to the cultural inertia of measurement systems and the historical connection it provides to the land. Wow. Okay. So the king stepped in, brought out his rod, and decided this is how big an acre is going to be. Way to go, King whoever. Edward. One of them. 4 rods wide and 40 rods long. What were we talking about? An acre. All right, let's get back out of here. Cubit, furlong, acre, a Roman mile. So it's not a straight line. It's just you just kind of roaming around in a mile. This unit is equal to 1,000 paces by the imperial soldiers, and 1 pace being 2 steps. This is where the modern world word mile originates. Kind of like when I walk off distance from my tree stand, I pretend it's a yard per stride. Well, it probably is pretty close. It really is. You're kind of a tall feller, slim, lean. If you take that extra every time, you could probably get to a yard. I gotta have to skip, hop, and jump with my little leg. All right. So a Roman mile is the unit equal to 1,000 paces by imperial soldiers, with 1 pace being 2 steps. This is where the modern word mile originates. Right, so they consider a pace, right foot, left foot, right foot again, that's one pace. Grain. The earliest unit of mass. A grain was based on the weight of a single grain of wheat or barley. It was used to weigh precious metals and is still the smallest unit in the apothecaries something something in the Troy system. So, a grain. Yep, okay. I think I've heard of that. A score is an Abraham Lincoln's famous 7 years ago. A score is a unit of 20. The term is believed to come from the practice of counting by making a score or notch on a stick after every 20 items. 80, that's 87 years ago. That's kind of crazy. So that means, how does it go? 7 years ago, our founding forefathers, something, 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 right? So am I to understand that when Lincoln gave his speech, it was only 87 years after, like, the Pilgrims landed? Is that what he was saying? You think? Huh. Yeah, 87. Do you think that's right? 87 years since the Pilgrims landed, between when they landed and when he wrote his speech? It'd have to be longer than that. That means technically there could have been pilgrims in the audience. Maybe. I mean, if they'd all lived the first time out, right? I don't know. 7 years ago. What is that? Was that the Gettysburg Address? Like from 1776. All right, now I'm confused. What is opening line to the Gettysburg? The opening line of the Gettysburg Address is 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. All right, so our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. So, when you think 1776 was the Gettysburg Address? I've heard all this stuff, but I don't remember any of it. 1863 to 77 in 9. What? What's in 9? When was it? 1863, November 9th, 1863. All right. So, 1863. I know. I don't cheat. Breaking out the calculator. 1863 minus, what did we say? 7 years ago? 87. Why did we even talk about it? Robert knew. 1776. You're going on to the 3rd grade, Robert. On to the 3rd grade. Yep. 1776. So when did the Pilgrims land? Plymouth. That's all just a bunch of hoopla, probably. 16. The first documented claim of Plymouth Rock as a landing place of the Pilgrims was made by 94-year-old Thomas Foss in 1741, 121 after the Pilgrims arrived in Plymouth. All right, so that says the two most significant primary sources of the founding of Plymouth Colony are Edward Wilson's 1622 and William Bradford's. Bradford. Can't trust them people. Are 1630 to 1651. 1620. Okay, yeah. Well, my family came over on the Mayflower originally. Well, right there it says William Bradford. Yeah. Are you reading ahead? Are you doing that again? November 1620. What? What's all that? What's that noise? What's that noise? Oh my gosh. I'm in the middle of my show. Oh, we gotta give medicine to my goat tonight. She hates it when we give her medicine. I think we've talked about Robert's great-great-grandfather or something before on here. I know we have. This is all coming back to me like a herd of turtles, right? All right, let's get back on it. A score. All right, so we've established 1776 is when he was talking about it. 7 years after 1776, that's when he did the speech. When did the Civil War start? It was right around that time. All right, back on to the measurements. The hand. Whoa, jazz hands. Yeah, they did. They had to hammer those buckles out, man. Still used today as a measure of the height of horses. A hand is a unit of 4 inches, 10.16 centimeters. I mean, what they do, like this? Was that how they did measured hands? Seems like that, man. So if you had a horse that was 20 hands high, I guess at the shoulder, right? You had the side couldn't go for the neck. But that wouldn't be very many. That's only, well, 80 inches. 20 hands, 80 inches, 12 by 7 feet. Well, that would be. 20 hands would be huge. 7 feet, 12, 7, 14. That'd be 84 inches. So right at 6 feet something. If you had a 20 horse that was 20 hands. Stack their fists like this. Is that what you're saying? The hand jive. Let's do the hand jive. Remember that? 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. All that stuff. Carat. Or carat. How would you say that? Carat. A unit for measuring gemstones. Okay, a carat. A unit for measuring gemstones that originated from the height of a single carob seed. Today, 1 carat is standardized at 0.2 grams. A carob seed is what? It's some kind of fruit. A schmoot. Huh. A humorous non-standard unit of length equal to the height of a former MIT student, Oliver R. Smoot. The Harvard Bridge in Cambridge, Massachusetts. was famously measured in smoots, and the markings are still visible on the bridge today. The length of the bridge is approximately 364.4 smoots. Huh. So I guess he laid down, marked his head, got up, put his feet down, marked his head, and went on and on and on. You think he did it at night, or did he get run over a few times? A jiffy. While often used colloquially to mean a moment, a jiffy was a specific meaning in computing and physics. In computing, it can be the duration of a single clock cycle, while in physics, it is defined as the time it takes for light to travel 1 Fermi, the approximate size of a proton. Now that is a jiffy. 2 shakes of a jiffy. Micromort, a unit of risk defined as a 1 in a million chance of death. For example, the risk of death from skydiving jump is approximately, holy crap, 8 micromorts. So as you go up in micromorts, does that mean you're more likely to die or less likely? Because it's a one in a million. So 8 micromorts would be 8. But is it 8 in a million or 8 in 8 million? And that's still just 1 in a million. Risk, a micromort, a risk of defined as a 1 in a million chance of death. Okay, so it's the 1. It's 8 micromorts would be 8 in 1 million chances. So your chances go up of dying 8 times. Shake. In nuclear physics, a shake is a tiny unit of equal time to 10 nanoseconds or 10 to the negative 8 seconds. Is termed a humorous nod to the colloquial phrase, 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Now, my mom always said, 2 shakes of a dead lamb's tail. Yeah. So it's forever because dead lambs don't shake their tail. 2 shakes of a dead lamb. What's that say? A buttload, an actual measurement. All right, we're not watching the video. We're past that buttload thing. All right, so those were some of the ones that it came up with. Let's see. There was a couple more. I think I closed them out though. Oh no. Let's see, a buttload, a furlong, we went over that, a hand, we went over that, a smoot, a cubit, barley corn. Here's one that I found. That grok came up. I had to go on my phone earlier. To ask it the question. I was just going to read them off the phone until I finally got a workaround for Gemini. All right, the barley corn is a fascinating and ancient unit of length that, like many early measurements, was based on a natural object. Its history is closely tied to the standardization of an inch and is even used to practice in a practical way today. A barley corn defined as the length of a single grain of barley. This was a simple, accessible way to create a fundamental unit of measure. While the actual length of a barley grain can vary, it was a practical starting point in a time before sophisticated measuring instruments. The unit's most significant historical role was the basis for the inch. In medieval England, a royal statute declared that 3 grains of barley, dry and round, do make an inch. And so let it be known. This was a major step towards standardizing the English system of measurement by defining the inch in terms of barley corn. It provided a simple, reproducible method for determining length which in turn was used to define the foot, yard, and even the acre. So why in medieval England did they use inches and not centimeters? The barley corn today is used in shoe sizes. While the barley corn is no longer an official unit of length, it has a surprising modern legacy. It is still used as the basis for shoe size in the UK, Ireland, and to a lesser extent the United States. Never heard of it. In these systems, the difference between one full shoe size and the next is equal to one barley corn, or 1/3 of an inch. This measurement means that if a size 8 shoe is, for example, 11 inches long, a size 9 shoe will be 11 1/3 inches long. This system is a direct descendant of the medieval 3 barley corns to an inch rule and is a testament to how deeply ingrained historical units can be. Well, you think that's really true? I mean, it says it, but you think 1/3 of an inch separates a shoe, a size 8 shoe from a size 9 shoe. I've put on both, buddy, and let me tell you, it's not a 1/3 of an inch. It's much, much more than that. Much more. 8, 8.5. So if you went from 8 to 8.5, that's 1/6 of an inch. That can't be right. I mean, that would be nothing. That's 2 pairs of socks. That ain't right. I just don't. I just don't see that. I just don't see it. A hog's head. That was one. They mentioned that earlier. Barley corn. A megaparsec. Watch. You want to know about that? Watch Star Trek. A fathom. Here we go. Hog's head. All right. So a hog's head is a historical unit of measure for liquid volume. That's where they used it. They used it in the buttload. And it is also the name of the large wooden cask that contained that amount. In history, is closely tied to the trade of wine, spirits, and even tobacco during the colonial era. The exact volume of a hogshead, was not always consistent and can vary depending on the liquid and the location. However, its most common and legally standardized values were, here we go. For wine, it was 63 U.S. gallons. For beer, it was 54 imperial gallons. Now, didn't they mix those other two up before? Or was wine still in U.S. gallons? The hogshead was a part of a large system of liquid measure that included the firkin, the barrel, hogshead, butt or pipe, buttload, and a tun or tune, T-U-N, 2 butts or 4 hogsheads. Hogshead, figure, dash, tad, right? The word hogshead dates back to the late 14th century, but the origin of the name is somewhat of a mystery. One theory suggested it was a corruption of the Dutch word for a cask of similar size, oskhoefd, which means ox head. Another theory is that the name simply came from a humorous literal interpretation of a hog's head due to the large round shape of the barrel. While primarily associated with liquids, the hogshead also has a common unit for measure and transporting dry goods, most notably tobacco in the American colonies. A hogshead of tobacco was tightly packed barrel that could weigh up to 1,000 pounds, and it was the standard unit of shipping the crop to Europe. Today, the hogshead is largely an obsolete unit of measure, but it remains as part of the specialized vocabulary of industries like whiskey and winemaking. It is particularly used by Scotch whiskey distillers, where the hoggie, it is often called, is a common size for aging spirits. Modern hogshead is often repurposed bourbon barrels that have been disassembled and reassembled with extra staves to increase their size. Cool. All right. So, just a little bit of how stupid we measure things. So, I'm back on this little tidbit about medieval England using inches. 3 wheat grains equals 1 inch. When did they go to the metric system? Who decided, hey, let's go to the metric system, man? When did they make that move? I don't know. Uh-oh. I never did check to see if I was even going out on the air. Never did check. Yeah, there it is. Okay. YouTube did not let me down. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So maybe I'll change my thumbnail now that I've gotten Gemini I've created a favorite so I can get back to this page. I still don't know why the other page doesn't work. But anyway, all right, I think that's going to be the show. We're in here 46 minutes talking about old ways of measuring basically beer and wine. Metric is decimal based. Always heard an inch is the distance between your first and second knuckle. Right, that's about right. Right there. So maybe we can look it up next show or something. When did they come up with the metric system? I like the metric system. It makes a lot more sense to me. Moving decimals this way, moving decimals that way to get the different lengths and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty much all for it. Let's just pick one and stick with it. That's what I say. Let's just pick one and stick with it. Alrighty. Robert Gothog, thanks for showing up. Sorry I didn't have one last show. I was just saying, I was beat and didn't have a good topic and didn't have time to get up here. Wasn't going to rush it. So I just chilled out. Did a bunch of nothing last Thursday. It was pretty fun. You know, it was all right. But as always, look how teeny tiny I'm at. Let's get back up here to whoa. Get back up here to normal size. Thank you for watching, tuning in. Thursday nights at 9 is the live show. Watch it anytime you want. Minutes with Milo on YouTube. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, hit the notification button, like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. And I'll see you next week, I hope. All right, where's my button to kill? Oh, there it is. There's once. There's the second one. Are you